It is a particular privilege for me to introduce someone who has also made it and successfully brought together both aspects of the schools we are celebrating today. Ruby Wax is a well-known TV personality, actor, author, comedian, and has been an active voice in bringing to the public attention the prejudice and difficulties that surround the stigma of mental illness. Following this interest, she has a book due to be published in June called Sane New World. She's a postgraduate alumna of SPCP, and I recall with some trepidation, I taught her myself. She completed her studies by seriously refocusing her life at the time and has been awarded a master's in cognitive therapy from Oxford. She now holds workshops and presents keynotes on neuroscience, communication, and leadership to a range of audiences, combining humor with quite heavy and important topics. She is best known for her TV documentaries and interviews. She was a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company for 5 years and has served as a script editor for various shows, including the well-known Absolutely Fabulous, in which she made several guest appearances. Her hugely successful West End show, Out of Her Mind, has recently been taken to South Africa, Australia, and the US. Ruby is in the process of launching a new mental health website as well, blackdogtribe.com. This aims to help sufferers get help, information, and to communicate with each other to reduce the stigma. I recall one TV series she made called Ruby Wax Interviews, some years ago now, with such celebs as Madonna, Imelda Marcos, Hugh Hefner, and a BAFTA-nominated interview with the Duchess of York. I hear that during a typical workshop nowadays, Ruby often includes clips from these interviews demonstrating how she gets under the skin of these individuals, and I recall some of that, relating to them on a human level. I think it is testament to her humanity that she is prepared to expose in this way examples of her successes and her catastrophes as both a mental health advocate and media personality. I'd like to introduce Ruby Wax.
Because I'm short, I have to stand on a stool. Well, thanks very much, and congratulations to all the graduates. It's more than I've done. Well, I am graduating soon from Oxford in September. Better late than never. I wish I did it when I was 20, but I was in a haze and really don't remember much. So, but you know, so congratulations to the psychotherapy department, all of you graduates, and to the film, media, and performance, because to me that was always my dream of putting those two together. And when I was much younger, I really wanted to see if those two could meld. So there was a course long ago called psychodrama, and I thought, what a thing, you know, because when you're on stage, all your thoughts and how you improvise, it becomes very apparent what your habits are, and you're in the eyes of the beholder, so you can really feel where you are in the world. So I thought that's really interesting, and I was studying psychology at Berkeley. And then unfortunately, the Marino Institute that was offering psychodrama closed, so I thought, well, I'll make it up. So I'll figure this one out. So I went to England to study acting, and I miraculously, and this was really when it was a Dickensian prairie land. I don't know if none of you would know this. There were no showers. It was, the food was an atrocity. It was like a horse died and you put it between two pieces of bread. There was no heating, so it was very brave that I had to straddle a hairdryer for 2 winters to survive. So I got into Glasgow, which was also an atrocity at the time. It was like an ashtray with stoplights. Now I know it's the cultural center of Europe. But So I went there and I thought, okay, I'll learn acting and then I'll combine it with psychotherapy. But one thing led to another, and I honed my narcissism to a really fine art. And once you get on television, not to discourage you, it could be a wonderful thing, but actually it does the opposite of what psychotherapy does for some people. Rather than make your mind more flexible and open and everything is a possibility, you start to build this armor around yourself and you become what people want you to become. A, because it's really lucrative, much more than therapy. And B, well, you know, you get the attention of everyone, and, you know, we're all suckers for attention. But really, unfortunately, for a lot of people, it does a lot of damage, because when inevitably it's taken from you, which everything is, you will grab onto it, onto the heels of it, and you could end up in panto. So that's just a warning. You could, it's as low as it goes. I decided I would reroute, and I came to Regents, and I think they saved my life, because I always said when I was at Berkeley I would finish my studies in psychotherapy, and I didn't know how to combine it with entertainment, but I figured there must be a reason I'm here besides the location. And I love the smorgasbord you got every week of a different psychologist. So, you know, one week it was Jung. I was so happy to know that it wasn't bad to visit the dark side. And then it was Winnicott. You know, thank God, when I feed my kids, you know, out of a dog bowl, I know I'm a good enough mother. So all these people made me feel much better. And but by the end of it, I thought, wait a minute, I'm really interested in actually the real thing, the brain, because Freud couldn't really look in, but now we can. So I thought, I'm going to crash a course at UCL that was teaching neuroscience. So I went there, and it was all filled with 21-year-olds, and I told them I had a skin disease that made me look really old. And they believed me until they figured out I really was old. And they accepted me because I had a car. And then they all went to Yale, and I, A, couldn't go because B, I didn't understand anything I just learned, but I thought this was interesting. And around that time, I had always had depression, but when I was young, nobody knew what it was. And in my mother's time, they would call it a turn. You know, they'd say, your mother's going through a change of life. And I'd go, yeah, for the last 87 years. So they didn't know what I had, but finally, if you don't do something or you take some action, it accelerates as you get older. So my last crash was while I was still at Regent's. So I was out for 5 months, sitting on a chair, couldn't get out of the chair, and I was in an institution while I was still at Regent's, and I called Anthony from the institution. I said, you think I should try and come back to Regent's? And he said no. I don't remember what I said to him. So unfortunately, I had to let it go. But then I got better, and when I came out, I never told anybody I had depression because we're all afraid of losing our jobs. I mean, that comes with the deal, so I kept it really quiet. But Comic Relief, I started giving money to mental health charities. So they said, could they take my pictures? I said, yeah. I thought it was going to be tiny, like a little postcard, but they put a huge poster of me in tube stations saying, this woman has mental illness. Can you help her? And I was just mortified, so I hurled myself in front of it. But then there were thousands of them. So I decided I would write a show and make that look like it was my publicity poster. Thank you. I thought, Rube, you've got a disability, use it. So I toured mental institutions for the next 2 years. I went to every single one. I mean, you know, with 500 some serious lock-ins. It was the most pleasurable thing I've ever done in my life. Because A, I could be funny because they knew I wasn't talking down to them. They could see I was one of them. And the questions they asked were just sensational. So I did that for 2 years. And I always thought if you can make a schizophrenic laugh, you're halfway to Broadway. And so then I took it to the West End, and then I've just come back from Melbourne, and then I've been in South Africa, and it's now it's going to Los Angeles for the second time, because the same questions that people ask in mental institutions are the same thing the public want to know. We have no way of meeting each other. I mean, unless you're institutionalized. Alcoholics Anonymous have a place on every block, but we're talking 1 in 4, and I'm talking globally. We have no place to talk. Except when I finally was in an institution, I met my people, and then you can compare notes and realize that you're not making this up. You know, because I think, why is it when you have mental damage, it's always down to an active imagination? How come every other organ in your body can get sick and you get sympathy except your brain? So I open the doors once a week to every theater, and I would allow the public in for free, and then I bring in bands from mental health charities and also have great speakers, neuroscientists, and Peter Fonicki and Mark Williams, and who else did I have? Oh, Louis Walpert. They would lecture. Then the people who came in would have people to ask questions. So I thought, let's start walk-in centers. So a website was open where you can at least meet on the website with people with your own issues. You know, mothers who have kids and they think, did I pass this? Because the caregivers have it just as bad. So my dream is to eventually we meet really in the flesh, but that's kind of difficult because we still know there's a huge stigma, and if you get caught at work, good luck with your job. So we're in a peculiar situation here. But the really important thing is, we're living at a time, at 2013, where people are still asking what my star sign is. And that books like The Secret, which sells 80 million copies, not that I'm angry about it, but which on the opening page says it was handed down from the ancient Babylonians. And you know how many Babylonians there are running around, so they've done well. These are the books. You know, people are hugging their inner angel. That's what we're talking about now. So it's really our job to start to educate people that everything, the way you see the world, the way you feel the world, everything is in this 3-pound piece of meat. That's it. And that we're in a situation where we blame global warming, it's all out there, recession, terrorism, politicians, now it's his fault. Everything, you know, criminality is out there, but it's us. We are the perpetuators of all this stuff. We're the mothers of all this invention. And unless people start to understand how their brain works and they learn how to fix it, this way madness lies. And I'm telling you something, in the 21st century, it won't be survivor of the fittest, it'll be survivor of the wisest. So you just keep going and fix this place. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
I just wanted to thank Ruby for that. I think Ruby epitomizes what we like to see in our students, our alumni. She's very internationally focused, she's very socially responsible, she's had a breadth of career and has bound together many aspects of her life into a successful presentation. Ruby has very kindly agreed to accept an honorary senior fellowship from the college, and I have in my... Yeah.
Oh, thank you. A
You
tablecloth?
take your... Absolutely. You can put it on any kind of table you like.
Do I take my hat off?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Oh, wow.
However, Ruby is a graduated alumna of Regent's, of the School of Psychotherapy and Counselling Psychology. She went off somewhere else to get a master's degree, so we're not envious or anything like that, but we would like to make sure that Ruby stays with us in future, and we've decided to award Ruby an honorary master's degree in psychotherapy and counselling psychology. And these are in our new colours.
Oh, thank you.
So you get a second one.
Oh, my God, thank you.